Hey everyone, my name is Brigit, and I'm a program manager on the Visual Studio Code team here at Microsoft. This is the first in a series of videos in which my teammate Burke and I are going to show you how to set up a container-based development environment in Visual Studio Code. So, have you ever run into a situation in which you want to switch between tech stacks or softwares really easily? Maybe you're going between a Node.js project and a C++ project. Or maybe you're going between projects that require different versions of Python, so you want to jump back and forth between Python 2.7 or Python 3.7. And it would be really convenient to not have to worry about installing anything new on your machine when you're going between these different tech stacks or these different versions of dependencies. Well, if it sounds really interesting or applicable to you to be able to set up an entirely new development environment while keeping your local machine free and clear of any extra downloads or dependencies, then remote containers in Visual Studio Code is going to be an awesome solution for you, and you should definitely check out the rest of our video series. Now, before we kick things off, there's going to be a couple of technical prereqs that we recommend meeting before we continue on. So you're actually able to follow along on any platform, so you can use Windows, Mac OS, or Linux, and you're going to need to have Docker Desktop on your computer. We also recommend having some basic knowledge of Docker, so maybe knowing what a container and an image is and a container registry. You'll also need Git and maybe some basic knowledge of Git, so what it means to clone a Git repository. And of course, you're going to need the awesome environment of Visual Studio Code as well. Now, watching this video series isn't going to be the only way that you can learn about using remote containers in VS Code. We actually have an accompanying Learn module on Microsoft Learn that you can take a look at and follow along to also learn this material. Okay, so here I am on the Microsoft Learn site where we can see our accompanying Learn module use a Docker container as a development environment with Visual Studio Code. And we can see the learning objectives that we'll be covering both in this video series and in the Learn module if you choose to check it out. So by the end of both the series and the module, we'll be able to install the VS Code Remote Containers extension. We're going to load and connect to a project in a Docker container. We're going to be accessing ports in a container from our local machine, so we'll be doing some port forwarding. And we'll be customizing settings while working with the container and adding software to the container environment. And if we scroll down a bit further, we can see the prerequisites that I had mentioned a bit earlier, and they get a little bit more specific, so mentioning some more platform-specific information and some Docker information as well. And if we scroll down to the bottom here, we can see the modules that the Learn module has to offer, so including the content and the exercises that you could complete as well. So I hope you're as excited to dive into dev containers as we are. Thanks so much for watching, and check out the next video in the series to take a look at how to install the Remote Containers extension in Visual Studio Code.